In the late 16th century, Korea stood on the edge of collapse. War had arrived with brutal force, and the nation's defenses were crumbling under the weight of a relentless invasion. Cities fell quickly, armies on land struggled to organize resistance, and fear spread across the peninsula. Yet while chaos consumed the land, the fate of the country would ultimately be decided at sea, by a man who refused to accept defeat, even when the odds made victory seem impossible. This is the story of Admiral Yi Sun-sin, a commander whose brilliance, discipline, and unbreakable resolve transformed the course of history. A reluctant beginning. Yi Sun-sin was not born into legend. Born in 1545 in what is now Seoul, he grew up as a quiet and thoughtful child, more inclined towards study than physical competition. His path to military leadership was far from smooth. In fact, he initially failed his military examination after falling from his horse during a practical test, an incident that could have ended his ambitions entirely. But Yi was not defined by failure. He retook the exam, passed, and gradually built a reputation as a disciplined and principled officer. He demanded excellence from himself and from those under his command. His focus on rigorous training and moral integrity made him a natural leader, but also earned him enemies in a political system filled with rivalry and corruption. War breaks out. In 1592, Japan launched a massive invasion of Korea, aiming to use the peninsula as a stepping stone for further expansion. Their forces were experienced, well-equipped, and highly organized. Korean land defenses quickly faltered, and within weeks, major cities, including the capital, were lost. With the army in disarray, the responsibility of slowing the invasion fell heavily on the Navy. Yi Sun-sin was appointed to command the Southern Fleet, a position that would prove critical. Unlike many commanders who reacted to the crisis with panic, Yi responded with preparation. He strengthened naval bases, drilled his sailors relentlessly, and focused on discipline and coordination. He understood something others overlooked. Controlling the sea meant controlling supply lines. If the Japanese could not move supplies and reinforcements safely, their advance on land would weaken. Innovation at sea. Yi Sun-sin did not rely on tradition. He reshaped it. One of his most remarkable contributions was the development of the turtle ship, a heavily armored war vessel unlike anything seen at the time. The turtle ship featured a covered deck lined with iron spikes to prevent enemy boarding. Its structure was designed to withstand gunfire, and it carried cannons on all sides, allowing it to attack from multiple angles. A dragon-shaped head at the front could emit smoke, adding both psychological and tactical advantages. At a time when naval combat often involved closing distance and engaging in hand-to-hand fighting, Yi introduced a new approach: fight from range, use artillery, and outmaneuver the enemy. This shift in strategy would prove devastating. A string of victories. Yi's early battles showcased his tactical genius. Engagement after engagement ended in decisive Korean victories. His fleet consistently outmaneuvered larger Japanese forces, sinking ships and capturing vital supplies. What made his leadership exceptional was not just victory, but efficiency. Yi minimized casualties among his own men while inflicting maximum damage on the enemy. His ability to combine discipline, innovation, and strategy turned the Korean Navy into a powerful defensive force. By 1593, he had become a symbol of resistance, a commander who could not be defeated. Betrayal from within. But success often breeds jealousy. Within the Korean court, political rivals grew wary of Yi's rising influence. False accusations were made against him, and despite his proven record, he was stripped of command, arrested, and subjected to harsh punishment. In his place, the court appointed another officer with far less experience. The consequences were immediate and catastrophic. In a single disastrous engagement, much of the Korean Navy was destroyed. Over 100 ships were lost, leaving only a handful remaining. The nation's last line of defense had been shattered. A return against all odds. Faced with disaster, the same officials who had removed Yi had no choice but to bring him back. He returned to command without complaint, without bitterness, and without conditions. What he inherited was not a fleet, but the remnants of one. Only 12 or 13 ships remained. The sailors were demoralized, the situation hopeless. By any logical measure, resistance was futile. Yet Yi refused to surrender. He famously declared that as long as he still had ships and was alive, the enemy would not control the seas. The Battle of Myeongyang. In 1597, Yi Sun-sin faced one of the most extraordinary challenges in military history. The Japanese assembled a massive fleet, over 300 ships, to eliminate what remained of the Korean Navy. Yi, with just 13 vessels, chose to confront them at the Myeongyang Strait, a narrow waterway known for its violent and unpredictable currents. The location was not chosen by chance. Yi understood the terrain better than his enemy. As the Japanese fleet advanced, the strong currents disrupted their formation, creating confusion. At that precise moment, Yi launched his attack. Using coordinated cannon fire and precise maneuvering, his small fleet struck with devastating effect. Japanese ships collided, capsized, and were torn apart under sustained artillery fire. By the end of the battle, dozens of enemy ships had been destroyed, and the remaining fleet retreated in disarray. With just 13 ships, Yi had defeated a force many times larger. The final battle. As the war drew to a close in 1598, Japanese forces began withdrawing from Korea. Yi pursued them, determined to ensure they would not leave unchallenged. The final major engagement took place at the Battle of Noryang. It was a decisive victory, but it came at a cost. During the battle, Yi Sun-sin was struck by a bullet. Mortally wounded, he gave a final order to his officers: conceal his death and continue fighting. He understood that revealing his condition could break morale. Even in his final moments, his focus remained on victory and the survival of his nation. His forces carried on, securing a final triumph that marked the end of the invasion. A perfect record. Yi Sun-sin's legacy is unmatched in military history. He commanded numerous naval battles and never lost a single one. Despite facing overwhelming odds, limited resources, and even betrayal from his own government, he consistently achieved victory. He combined careful planning with bold execution, discipline with creativity, and strategy with deep moral conviction. He did not seek power, wealth, or recognition. In fact, he died without personal riches. His life was defined by service, by a commitment to protect his country at any cost. A legacy beyond war. Today, Yi Sun-sin is remembered as one of Korea's greatest heroes. His statues stand tall, his writings are studied, and his strategies continue to be analyzed by military scholars around the world. But his story is more than a tale of war. It is a lesson in resilience. It is about standing firm when everything around you collapses. It is about doing what is right even when you are punished for it. And most importantly, it is about the power of one individual to change the course of history. The deeper lesson. What makes Yi Sun-sin's story so powerful is not just his victories, but the conditions under which he achieved them. He was outnumbered, undermined, imprisoned, betrayed, yet he returned. Not for revenge, not for recognition, but because his country needed him. And in doing so, he proved something timeless. True strength is not measured by numbers, resources, or position. It is measured by discipline, clarity, and the refusal to give up, no matter how impossible the situation appears. Yi Sun-sin didn't just win battles, he proved that even against impossible odds, one disciplined mind can change history. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like and subscribe.